Baby Yoda's fine. All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. We got the three guys here, Nick,
Gabe,
Chris.
And we are ready. As you see, Baby Yoda right there. That's right. That's one of a kind. You can't buy it.
The boys are back.
We are looking at Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. And I'm just going to start off this review by saying we'll do a few minutes of non-spoiler, okay? Just in case anyone hasn't seen it yet, you'll get our ideas or whatever. And then we're going right into, we'll tell you spoiler time, and we'll get right into it. I want to start off by saying that I did not like the title, the subtitle, Rise of Skywalker. And after watching it, I really did not like the title, because for me, it just... I guess you have to be really, really smart to understand what they're talking about, and we can have some theories and talk about it. But I just want to get that started off right at the bat. How did you guys feel about the subtitle Rise of Skywalker?
You know, honestly, I haven't liked the last two. Force Awakens I loved, but I didn't like The Last Jedi, and I definitely didn't like the Rise of Skywalker either. But, you know.
Just the titles, right?
Yeah. Just the title, not the films, just the titles. How about you, Chris?
I liked it. I thought it was fine. I mean, it made sense to me.
Okay.
All right, so just initial thoughts. I went into this movie. We all saw it Thursday night, and I went into this film with low expectations because the reviews were just horrendous from the critics. They all loved Force Awakens. They even loved Last Jedi more, and they just pooped on this one. And so my expectations were lower. And I think because of that, it really helped me to overall enjoy this film. I did. I really liked this movie. Is it perfect? No. Is it one of the best Star Wars films? No. Is it one of the best of these new Disney trilogies? No. But I don't think any of the three have been bad, 7, 8, 9. But with this being the last one, there was so much pressure on it, and I feel like for the most part, it met a lot of that pressure, but it's just not one of the best Star Wars films. What's your thought?
You know, I'll tell you, I love this movie. And I think that J.J. Abrams did exactly what the fan base was clamoring for, which was go back and fix and repair the damage that was done by The Last Jedi, which I did not like. And again, I'll tell you right now, the hate's gone way too far, because I was just like you. I walked in there with low expectations, because you could not go on Twitter, you could not go on YouTube, you couldn't go anywhere on the internet and not see all the negative posts about it and all the backlash it was getting from these critics. And now I'm saying to myself, I saw this movie. You're saying one critic said this was the worst Star Wars of all time. Did he see Episode 1? Did he remember Jar Jar Binks? Oh, man. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, stop it. So to me, all these critics are wrong. And they get paid to do this? Really? Oh. Hands down, I love this movie. To me, it's the second of the trilogy that I liked. I liked so far the last trilogy. Last Jedi is still my least favorite, but it still wasn't a horrible movie. Again, Episode 1, people. Episode 1. So those are my thoughts. What do you think, Chris?
The question is how much we liked Episode 9?
Yeah. How much we liked Episode 9. What do you think about this film? Non-spoiler.
I mean, I really liked Episode 9. When the movie ended, usually I'm pretty good about I like that movie, I didn't like that movie. Star Wars Episode 9 was the first movie where I was like, did I like that?
Right.
I knew that I liked at least 98% of the movie. There was 2%. I was like, I'm not sure about this.
Right.
But I woke up the next morning and I was like, nope, I like that movie a lot. The movie's a lot of fun. I personally thought it was the funnest of all the three new movies right now. And it felt more like Star Wars to me than the other three.
I agree.
All right, so let's go into spoilers. So you've had your warning.
Spoilers!
Those are our thoughts.
That's all we could give you without spoiling.
Here we go.
Boring Reviews!
If he dies, he dies.
For me, it's important not to be swayed by other people's opinions, because how are you a true film fan if you're just swayed by someone else's opinion? Right. So yesterday in the evening, I was watching some spoiler reviews since I've already seen the movie, and one I watched was Tyrone Magnus. Hour long. I watched 45 minutes of it.
45 minutes?
This guy's review is hilarious. He absolutely hated everything.
He's hilarious.
He hated everything.
Hilarious.
But you've got to check it out. Tyrone Magnus, you don't know who he is. Hilarious review.
Right.
He was doing Chewbacca imitations. He had this line about talking about Anakin talking like he was a child. You don't underestimate my power. He says it and does it in such a great way. Anyways, I watched his review. I watched a few other people's reviews, and they were in varying degrees of how much they didn't like it. And it did not sway. It hurt my heart a little bit, but it did not sway my opinion. I overall enjoyed this film. You talked about it being fun. It definitely was fun. I think Force Awakens was a little more fun, but I think you have an advantage as that origin type film with these new characters to develop different things. The great thing that 9 did, that 7 did so well, that 8 did not do at all, really, was it put Poe and Finn together with Rey for the majority of the film, and then experiencing the adventure with even C-3PO this time, BB-8, and Chewbacca. You had those characters together, but you had our new 3 entrenched together. I think Poe and Finn's chemistry, the actors' chemistry, is so awesome. I think Finn and Rey's chemistry is great. I just wanted to have more Rey and Finn, but that would have meant we would have lost some Rey and Kylo, and I love Rey and Kylo. I don't want any of that to be taken away. So as far as the characters, I really, really was happy with how they did it. And then they added Kerry Russell, I thought was awesome, and whatnot.
Here's the thing. I think that what this movie did is go back and not necessarily retcon, but it fixed some of the things that I absolutely hated about Episode 8, and that's why I say I love this movie. Because for me, the worst part about Episode 8 was that whole political agenda that they had embedded in there. The whole, planet with the casino, and then they're on the Benicio del Toro's character, who thankfully is not even in this movie. The rebels are buying weapons from the same people that the Empire is, and they're trying to. That's not what Star Wars is about, okay? We don't want that social commentary in this movie, so they completely eliminated that, thankfully. And the whole everybody has the Force as well, or with the little boy at the end with the broom.
I wanted some more Broom Kid. Come on.
They got rid of that. They got rid of the whole, your parents, spoiler alert, we said it already. I called it from day one. There's no way that Rey, people's biggest complaint was she was such a Mary Sue. And I was like, there's no way she's that strong with the Force, and her parents were some junk traders or whatever.
But did they lie? He said your parents are nobody.
They weren't nobody. What are you kidding me?
No, they were nobody because they chose. Her dad chose. Her dad chose to get away from, what I understand when I watched it one time through, okay?
Right.
He chose to get away with everything his dad represented,
right,
and he was just out on his own. So maybe they weren't super rich or successful, and they were, quote-unquote, nobodies. I mean, I'm sure I'm considered a nobody by many people's standards because I don't have $1 million.
Right.
But I feel like I don't like her being a Palpatine. Let's just get out there right now.
Right.
I wanted her to be a Skywalker or a Kenobi.
Right.
I wanted her to be a nobody because I do like the idea that anyone could have the Force. But I understand your point. She has so much of the Force that it has to come from somewhere. Chris, what do you have to say?
You guys kind of went everywhere. What's the question?
Anything you want. Sorry. Well, I started and he went and I went back. I don't want to take anything away. Whatever you want to say about this movie, spoiler is all good.
No worries. I wasn't expecting on doing a review, so kind of caught by surprise. But I mean, honestly, I'm okay with Rey being a Palpatine. It made it work for bringing the Emperor back. Now, if they weren't going to bring the Emperor back into it, I would say it was dumb that she would be a Palpatine.
Right.
But this gave it, this gave him a reason to be there, and it also allowed us to see a little bit more into Sith lore. At least, I don't know if it's taken, how much of it is taken from the books, but at least some new Sith lore of how Sith are done. They kind of like pass on to each.
I think that
entity?
was brand new. I think that was made up for this movie.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. Whatever, but I don't know. I kind of wanted going back to what one of you said. I liked it when they were all together, and that's what really made it feel like Star Wars to me. Because when you go back to the original trilogy, who is it? It's Luke, Han, Leia, Obi-Wan, Chewie, R2-D2, C-3PO. This is the only one of the new ones where you got to see Poe, Finn, Rey, C-3PO, R2-D2, and now you have BB-8. all coming together and working together. I mean, you kind of saw Poe and Finn work together in the first one, and then like you were saying, in the 8th one, I mean, they all kind of went their separate ways, and there was this nonsense with the gambling planet. I thought that was stupid.
Right.
I didn't think that was too super smart, and they just, it felt like they went back to the roots. We had, first of all, we established that we've seen Rey train, so her lightsaber fights and her force wielding abilities are much more believable to us now, rather than in Force Awakens. You're like, how is she so powerful?
But I felt like the training in this one was really pointless because she was awesome enough. She had learned enough throughout The Last Jedi that, yes, we should have had more training in Force Awakens and we should have had more in Last Jedi. But to have her do it now and her master is Princess Leia. Now, I didn't really have a huge problem with that until I started thinking about it. Princess Leia, for all we know, never really tried to use the Force. And then they showed us that one scene where finally we got to see Leia do something when she was younger.
Right.
But I feel like the whole training part was kind of pointless because she already took on, Snoke and Kylo and almost won and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I feel like that was okay though, because I mean, you're always going to be training, even if you're a master at your craft.
That's true.
I know this is not Star Wars, but Randy Rhoads, a guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne, hugely successful guitar player before he died, may he rest in peace. But he would always, whenever he went on tour, and he would go to the different local guitar trainers and teachers of that town and learn from them to see if there's any new techniques he could learn and hone his craft. So I was okay with her continuing to train.
That's a good point.
But I was mostly saying, we got to see her train from Luke in the second one. And then you got to see, in the beginning, she's still training, but you get to see how far she's come. Right. And now you're like, yeah, you're ready to go out on your own. But she was awesome. I mean, she was awesome.
Like a boss. She was very confident, and maybe that's what she gained from that training with Leia. I mean, she went out there and she knew exactly what she was going to do. There are a lot of awesome moments that she does. I mean, when she's trying to hold back that transport, I thought that scene was cool. I've heard some people complain about that. I thought that was really awesome.
That was amazing. I don't understand what anyone's complaining about. Those abilities of using the Force, that's what made the extended universe awesome and the Star Wars video games dope. Because you're like, oh my gosh, you can do that with the Force?
You can do that with the Force?
More than, Darth Vader being oh, I threw a canister at you. This is so much cooler.
What video game was it that what was his name? Starkiller. Starkiller, yes, Force Unleashed, where he brings down the whole Star Destroyer.
That was awesome. I didn't even know that was possible.
Exactly.
I was like, what?
Exactly. So obviously people have a problem with that haven't really delved into Star Wars lore as far as the video games and the comic books are concerned and the other source material, because there's absolutely a precedent for it. This was just a little transport. It wasn't like she brought down a whole destroyer. But again, what I liked the most was that they made things make sense, because how is she such a Mary Sue? Why is she so powerful? She's a Palpatine. Palpatine is the most powerful being we've seen so far, other than Darth Sidious. Okay, people forget he beat Yoda. All right, bottom line, he beat Yoda, he beat Mace Windu, he beat all...
He is Darth Sidious, though.
No, I mean, Darth Plagueis. Plagueis.
I was like, wait a second.
I know you always make fun of me because...
he beat himself.
I love the bad guys, obviously, I love the bad guys and everything, but he is. Palpatine was the most powerful Force wielder we've seen thus far, okay? So if he was that powerful and she's his granddaughter, obviously she's gonna have some power just because of the lineage. So I thought that's why it was important that they put it in there, and I love that part. I didn't mind the training whatsoever. For me, I think that what I needed a little bit more of this movie, and you might even say, really? But here goes back to me. I love Kylo Ren's arc in this movie.
Awesome.
Adam Driver did such an unbelievable job in that movie. Oh man, you know what? I'm such a fan. I'm gonna go watch that romantic rom-com that's on Netflix that my wife wants to watch.
Marriage.
Marriage with him and
Black Widow.
Black Widow. And
it's
I'm
also
like,
good in The Dead Don't Die.
You know what I mean? Just because. This actually made me
awesome in a comedy with Harry Potter called What If. You check that out.
It made me an Adam Driver fan. He is amazing. I was like, wow, what an awesome story arc.
He's been awesome in every single one of the movies.
But he has. I've never understood the hate that he's got.
My only issue with his arc and his whole thing, and it's a small thing, but I had it when I was watching it, was I thought his turn to the good side was pretty quick and convenient. I like how they brought back, a huge spoiler here, they brought back Han Solo. And I don't believe he was a Force ghost. It was just in his memory. He even said, I've been in your head. You haven't gotten rid of me yet for a certain reason. I thought his turn was a little too quick. But when you really think about it, his turn began in Last Jedi when obviously he has this connection with Rey, and it goes more than just a Force connection. Obviously, they are attracted to one another. That's the way I always looked at it. And I was praying they weren't brother and sister. Even though Luke's been there before.
Classic Star Wars trick.
Surprise! I was hoping they weren't, and thank goodness they're not. But I love their connection. And so in this one, where he realized that he wanted to follow his heart, and I don't even think it's an attraction thing. He just wanted to be with Rey, whatever that meant, friends or whatever. That was more important, so he had that turn. I just thought it was really quick. From the beginning of the movie, he's so ready to kill everybody, to at the end where he wants to, save Rey or whatever. I just don't like what happened to him at the end.
Ugh, it was so tough.
I was okay with that.
I thought it was
Go on. I'll explain later.
That's the end of my thought. But
I think that here's the thing. Well, the worst part to me of this movie is that the finality. Like, really, this, you can see where there is the new, whatever trilogy, and I heard Disney's not going to do any more trilogies, but whatever story, you're not really going to follow a Skywalker story. Up until this point, it's been the Skywalker story, okay? The original trilogy was Luke Skywalker. The beginning was Anakin Skywalker, okay? This last one, we thought it was Rey's, but really it's both Kylo Ren and Rey's story, okay? And Kylo Ren is a Skywalker, Ben Skywalker. With all that being said, now there are no Skywalkers left. And that's so tough to say goodbye.
There is.
She is
Rey
not
Skywalker.
She is not a Skywalker. That's all
She was like adopted. I mean, come on.
Okay, if you follow what the story was giving us, what the movie was giving us, she had all the generations of Jedi within her. Big part of that is Skywalker. She was trained by Luke. She was trained by Leia. I mean, they were both right there, their whole little smiling thing as Force Ghost when she said Skywalker to the one random lady that's walking by this abandoned place.
Right.
Who be you, eh? I mean, that was way too convenient. But she should have said that. Who be you? But, I mean, she is a Skywalker. I felt that was a little too convenient. But, anyways.
I also like the fact that they explained why Snoke was taken out so easily, because we had this idea that Snoke was such a powerful Force wielder, and at one point I thought that Snoke was Darth Plagueis, right? Because remember the Darth Plagueis, and I'm like, wow, they killed him that easy. He's just a clone. He's just a clone because you saw all those clones in there.
We still don't know that he wasn't. Yes, we see the clones in there, but like I was talking to you, I think yesterday. You have to clone it from somebody. So who was the original? And not just that. Okay, so
I don't even think it was an original. I think it was just an aberration or like an aberration of Palpatine.
Maybe him trying to clone himself, right?
But this is where you open up a huge Pandora's box. And I got this from, I think, Screen Crush, a video I was watching yesterday.
Screen Crush.
Where you cannot begin to clone beings that are Force sensitive. Because that makes it too easy. That makes it too convenient. And what this guy was saying is, why didn't Palpatine just do that in the very beginning anyways? When he was recruiting these kids, he was trying to steal the young Padawans and try to turn them into Sith, which you see in a lot of the video games and comic books. Why wouldn't he just create these Force-sensitive clones? Which is why this guy, that was a whole video about him not being a clone. But I just think it's kind of too weak. So I still want to know who Snoke is. We didn't get answers on that, but at least we did get some answers in this movie.
It was better than them just saying, "Oh, we forgot about it," or "We're gonna just completely ignore it."
And there is a lot of stuff in this film,
and I think that's what J.J. Abrams did such a good job about. He went back and absolutely filled in all those plot holes that we didn't like. He, fixed some things that we didn't like, and people that are complaining are not real, in my opinion, are not really upset at the movie. They're not taking it for what it is. They're just looking for a reason to bash the movie.
Yeah,
because I could do that with any movie. I would go out and tear apart every single movie. You can tell in our channels, how often do we do negative reviews? We've watched movies before and we're like, yeah, let's not review that. Okay, Gemini Man, we're looking at you. Because I don't just want to go out there and put some hate. Let's just be real. Somebody put work into that movie, right? So if this is somebody's labor of love and they put work into it, you cannot tell me J.J. Abrams isn't a fan. He's a fan, bottom line. So why, and who am I to criticize his view? Could you have done a better job after the mess he was left with?
And that's the thing. Could anyone have done a...
No.
Maybe someone out there, but I mean,
I'm
it's
sure
so
somebody
easy.
could have, but I mean, anybody that is prominent enough that Disney will trust you with this? is the question. Is there anybody else in Hollywood that you're like, I think they could do a better job? George Lucas did a terrible job with the prequels. So, I mean, it's hard to say who would do great with these movies.
Right.
I do think, though, that this would have helped tremendously if they had just separated from the idea of having a trilogy and just made this 2 separate movies.
Yes.
There was enough content in this movie, and it would have been just as exciting, and I feel like it would be more satisfying if there was 2 separate movies.
What did I tell you? This would, we do a lot of review of Indian movies on this channel. I said this movie could have been like an Indian movie. Give me that extra hour. It could have been a 3-hour movie,
Easily.
3.5-hour movie, because they had so much more to cover. Because he had to go back and retcon and fix so many things from episode 8. So I agree with Chris. It could have been longer.
But I blame it on leadership. I really do. I think I got this from Grace Randolph on her channel, where she talked about having an outline. Why did Kathleen Kennedy and the other people in charge of Lucasfilm at Disney, why did they say, we're going to create 3 new Skywalker films, and this is going to be the foundation of our new Lucasfilm. We're going to create 3 new ones, but we're going to have 0 outline. We're going to bring in 1 filmmaker, 2 filmmaker, 3 filmmaker to do their own movie.
That doesn't make sense.
And we're going to let them take it in any direction they want, which obviously is what it was. Why would you do that? Why would you not sit down, I don't care if it takes 6 months, and create a whole outline? The rumor is that's what James Cameron's doing with the Avatar sequels, which is getting a lot of hate because it's taking so long. But just watch when those come out. You're going to be like, oh, wow, I'm glad that they had an outline and they planned out. This guy's been spending years trying to write these films and put them together. Imagine if they would have had an outline. If they would have known who Rey was from day one. If they would have known who Snoke was from day one and what was going on. And then they brought the director in to do their artistic in their own style for that few basic storyline. I mean, that would have been awesome. Hopefully they learn from that mistake.
In the words of Chris Tucker from Rush Hour 2, boo! Man's destroying the classic!
Well, we got to get going here on this review, or we can be talking forever. But let's go ahead and give our grade. Who wants to go first? And there's so much more we can talk about. Maybe we'll do a part 2 for this video.
Yeah, because it's still fresh. It's in the movie theaters. We don't want to give you a scene-by-scene rundown, synopsis of what this movie. We just want to give you our
so
quick
much
review.
to talk about.
There's
so
a lot
much.
to talk about.
Gosh.
But go out and catch it. We're going to go ahead and do another review later on it. But I want to give this movie an A. It's not an A+ because I recognize there's some plot holes in there. I recognize there's, for me, I don't know why Rose was in this movie at all. She had like 2 lines of dialogue. 2 lines of dialogue, okay? She was wasted, okay? So that was a mistake in my opinion. They shouldn't have gone down that route.
But nothing against the actress.
No,
Kelly Marie Tran, she's a beautiful woman. She did a great job, but they just didn't write that.
I wish I was her too, but they gave her such a
They gave
terrible
her garbage
role. I mean,
and have you seen her recently? I mean, she's pretty smoking, but they just gave her a horrible role.
And it's like, if that's what you're going to do with my part, why give me the part? I mean, for the check, let's be honest. She got the bag, all right?
Still on Star Wars, we're talking about it.
She got a check, all right? She
I mean,
didn't
if
get
someone came
residuals.
up to me and they were like, we want you to do this role in Star Wars, and it was going to be her exact role, I'd be like, am I going to be in Star Wars? Yeah. Okay, I'll do it.
Listen,
If
they
somebody
can-
asked me to be
Nothing
the
against
second
her.
half of a horse in a horse suit for a 2-minute scene, you better believe I would say yes, and I would introduce myself wherever I went. The guy who played the backside of the horse in Star Wars, Nick Peterson.
Listen, I would
up?
take the non-speaking role, the dude that's in the R2 suit, or not R2 suit, I mean the C-3PO suit. Matter of fact, I would be one of the background characters in Palpatine's thing that you didn't even see. You just saw like figures in the
just a guy
background.
like
Oh, that's
One of the
me. The
Crimson
guy
Guards.
that Kylo Ren just killed. That was me.
That
That
was
was me.
You know what I
Wait,
mean?
Look, I farted right there.
Come on, can you imagine the residuals I'm paid? All right, that's a check. But anyway, I give it an A. I give it an A, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead,
What do you
Chris.
think?
I'm going to give it a B-.
Okay.
So, and here's the reason why. I'm trying to grade the movie as a movie on its own, not as a Star Wars fan. As a Star Wars fan, I would give it an A+, because I really did enjoy the movie. But trying to be subjective, I would give it a B-. It had a lot of good story points. It closed up a lot of loose ends in the trilogy. There were plot holes though that are just some conveniences and flaws that were there, and just some things that weren't quite executed. Like I said, I really liked 98% of it. 2%, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. It's Star Wars history now. Oh well. but it could have been done better in my opinion. Case in point, how Palpatine goes out. I have dough! But anyway, gosh, not just one, but two.
Semblance.
But
Semblance.
But anyways, you know, it could have been, other parts could have been better. So, but I'm gonna give it a B- because I really did enjoy it. Visuals were fantastic. The acting between Ren and were by Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley were amazing. It had everything else. So that's my grade.
All right, so I'm a little closer to Chris. I'm gonna give this a B, a solid B. Again, I gotta give it a fair rating. This is in no way in the realm of the prequels, not whatsoever. You watch the prequels, and there's some cool world building in those films, but the acting's atrocious. The visuals just don't hold up, and blah blah blah. The story goes on and on. This is a B because there's a lot of conveniences. There's some quick wrap ups. There's some parts that I felt didn't get fleshed out. I want to mention the droid was awesome. I like Dio a lot.
Right.
He was
but
cool.
I thought that this was overall a good film. Giving it a B. It just did not blow me away. I'm not racing out to go watch it again. I will watch it again in the theater. Don't get me wrong. But it's getting a B for me. Got to be fair. Got to be honest. But there's our first segment of our spoiler review. We hope you enjoyed it. Let's face it. We know you didn't. But let us know your thoughts.
Come on.
Right now, it's got an audience score, or at least yesterday was at 86, so a lot of fans are enjoying it. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to our channel. And until next time,
May the Force be with you.
always.
Don't listen to the critics.